In this video segment for the Dutch Cottage design project, we're going to be looking at the kitchen, designing the cabinets, doing our wall elevation with dimensions. Let's go in and take a look. I'm going to begin the design process using the base cabinet tool here in a 3D perspective view, and I'm going to click and place the first cabinet off to the right. I'm going to resize that to a 39-inch cabinet by grabbing the move handles here and resizing it. While the cabinet is still selected, I'm going to use the center tool and I'm going to center that on the window. Maybe it's a remodeling condition. It's a quick way to start your design with your focal point, maybe in this case being the window. The next cabinet I'm going to place will be a corner cabinet, and again, as I come into the corner, it will automatically place the corner cabinet. Place a cabinet on this side, and I'm going to resize this one to be 33 inches. And then we'll place another cabinet in between the two cabinets here. It will automatically fill that space. And then I'm going to place a couple more cabinets off to the right here. Now that I've got the cabinets positioned, let's go in and make some modifications. First thing is, let's take this cabinet and open it up and change it to a bank of drawers. If I select the front of the cabinet, it's going to change us to the front and sides and back dialog. I'm going to come into the horizontal separation and add a new drawer. In this case, we'll choose that face item to be a drawer. Set the item height to be 9 and select OK. And then on this face item here, I'm just going to simply change the face item to the drawer. On this cabinet for the sink base, I'm going to open that up and I'm going to remove the drawer off of there. Click on the face item, select delete. And then on the next cabinet off to the right, I'm going to open that up, select the front of the face item here. I'm just going to delete that and then the opening that is created. And I want to change this drawer to be a pull-out for a pull-out trash drawer. And you'll notice that the hardware is right in the middle of the drawer itself. So let's go to the door and drawer panel. Come down to the drawer handle area on the vertical position. Distance from the top, let's try 3 inches. And you can see the preview of that, and we'll go ahead and close the dialog. Let's review one more time the process of inserting a face item. When you want to create a drawer in between here, if I click on the item that I want to insert directly below, in this case there's a separation that separates the drawer and the door, and I will always select the item that I want it to go directly below. So in this case I want it to go below the separation, and that's where I'll add new. It's going to accept that default that we did previously, and then we'll just change that to a drawer. So again, you want to insert it below, and typically it's easy to insert below items. Place fixtures and appliances. I'm going to open up the library and browse into a short list that I have saved off. And let's go ahead and click and place a dishwasher. The way dishwashers work is that actually will replace the cabinet box. You don't have to place those independently. The advantage there is it will automatically generate your countertop off the top. Find a sink. Click on the cabinet you want to place it in, and then finally a refrigerator here. Click and place the refrigerator off to the side, and I'm going to talk about creating a flat side on this cabinet here. You notice if you zoom in this perspective view, I've got an overhang on that countertop. If you open up the cabinet, there is a setting here for flat sides and flat back. In this case, I'm going to set it to be flat sides. Preview updates, and now I can simply bump that refrigerator back to the cabinet without the countertop bleeding into that refrigerator. While the library is open, let's place our range and cook hood off to the side over here on the left-hand side of the wall. Find a cook hood, and we'll just place it randomly off to the side as well. Need to resize those and reposition them. I'll close the library, and let's place our wall cabinets. And let's grab our wall cabinet, and we'll just come in here and click. Again, that's a setting with the colors and materials for the backsplash. Let's resize this one to 36 inches, and we'll place one more wall cabinet in this area right here, and I'm going to resize this one to 21 inches. And since I want the exact same distance between the cabinet and the casing here, I'm just going to select that cabinet, and in the lower menu select the copy and reflect around the sink base, and that will get us the same exact distance for that cabinet. I'll just create a copy of that cabinet as long as it's here at 21 inches and slide that over into this area. Next, let's place a wall cabinet above the refrigerator. Sometimes it's difficult to get visual indication where that is. You may find it easier to do it in a plan view. Let's just click here and place it. And then I'll open up that cabinet and make some modifications to it. Let's set the height of it to be 12, a depth of 24 to match the refrigerator, and then the width to be 48 inches again to match the refrigerator. Notice that I've already removed the backsplash below on this cabinet, and we'll select OK. And it is higher than the other cabinets, so we're going to group select these once I finish with the wall cabinets and make the change for all of the cabinets at one time. Let's rotate our view here slightly, place a couple more cabinets in this area. A wall cabinet, and I'll just click and resize that to be 12 inches. And let's place a base cabinet on either side of the stove. Let's go into our floor plan view to do that. Notice, by the way, the nomenclature on the cabinets. When we placed our original cabinet for the sink, it was a 39, a B39. Now it's an SB39. The dishwasher was a B24, it's now a DW. So the nomenclature is updating as we're making changes to the cabinets, and you can control those. For example, for this base cabinet here, the one drawer for the pullout, let's suppose you want to change that label for pullout. Let's go in and specify the label, and in this case, let's just use the PO nomenclature for pullout. And if you change or insert a macro here for the width, select width, it's a PO24. When you resize that, since you put it in as a macro, the label will update, so that's an advantage of using the macro. Now, a couple of base cabinets around the cook range. Choose the base cabinet, and I'm going to come in here and place a cabinet. Notice that it is resizing to kind of fit the space. I'm going to resize that down, in this case, to be a 9-inch cabinet. Again, I want to have flat sides on that cabinet. I'm going to open it up and mark that it has flat sides. And then I can bump that cook range. Let's go ahead and select that cook range. Bump that to the cabinet, and then just take this cabinet here and create a copy of it and reflect it around that cook range. And then I'll just resize that to be a 12-inch cabinet. By the way, there is a feature now that will bump to the casing. That's new in version X8 and newer. And now for this cook hood, let's go ahead and select that. I think we have a 36-inch cook range down below. I'm going to change the width of that cook hood to be also 36, and then we'll just use the center tool and center that on the range. Back in the 3D view, you can see the updates. And what I want to do in the kitchen here, so I want to select these cabinets and have them all at the same elevation. So I'm going to group select all of these cabinets, increase the height of them, and then set the crown molding on top of that at 3 inches. There's two different ways to select all these cabinets. I'll show you both approaches. I'm going to select the cabinets just by holding my shift key down and clicking on these cabinets. Step one is let's increase the height of the cabinet to 42 inches. And we'll also remove the backsplash to the base below. Now you can see that the cabinets have grown in size. They now match the cabinet on the refrigerator. The other way to select these cabinets, let's go back into the floor plan view. Suppose that you only want to select the wall cabinets in this view without using the shift and a bunch of clicks. If you select the wall cabinet tool, and I'll come over here and hold the shift key down first. Now I'm going to hold the mouse button, the left mouse button, and I'm going to drag a marquee around the cabinets that I want to select. Now I'm not drawing around the top of the wall cabinet over the refrigerator yet, but let's go ahead and grab all of them, and now I've got them all selected. Notice in the very left-hand corner of your menu it says 7 items selected. That's how you know what is selected, and now I can simply press the open button down in the lower left-hand corner and open up that cabinet dialog and make changes from here just as we did earlier. Let's go to the molding panel and let's add a new molding. Let's come in and grab a crown molding. Choose our profile, and I'm just going to grab one of these simple profiles, and then let's set the height of it to be 3 inches by 2 inches, and on the vertical offset let's go ahead and set it to be -3 inches. That is the height of the crown that we put in, 3 inches, and then a negative value means that it's going to move it above the box, or if you were doing a light molding down here, it would also move it from the bottom appropriately. So let's go ahead and set it back to the top, and then we'll close that and go back into the 3D view. The crown molding is intelligent and will stay with your cabinets. If I select this corner cabinet here, and let's add a bow depth for that corner cabinet, notice that the crown molding will automatically follow that curvature. And on this cabinet here, if you want to make the change, diagonal door, make it a Lazy Susan in here, you can make those changes and update your cabinets as well. Now for the backsplash, remember we removed that backsplash from the base below, since when you have a backsplash to the base below, it's not going to help when you have your window there. And so there is a tool in Chief Architect for that custom backsplash, and all I have to do is click on the wall and it will automatically place the backsplash. You can then resize that, and one of the nice things about that is if you adjust an object like the window, it will automatically update. Let me undo that. And I'll also click and place a backsplash off to this side as well. And let's take a look at customizing this backsplash. Let's rotate our camera around, and this might be easier to do in an elevation view to some degree, but I'm just going to grab this and pull it down and snap it into this area right here, and then we'll click and drag. Let's open up a wall elevation to do this. Grab our wall elevation camera and we'll just shoot a wall elevation here. And I'm just going to use the backsplash tool, and instead of clicking on the wall, I'm going to just click and drag for a backsplash, and then we'll just pull this down just to kind of give you an idea of what we can do with this. And I'm going to change the thickness of this to be a little bit thinner than the other backsplash. Let's open it up, and you'll notice that you can change the layers in here. Let's go ahead and set it to be 1/8 of an inch, so it will set behind there. And then we'll just use our material eyedropper and pick up the stainless off the cook range, and you can see the update. And then on this one, let's go ahead and curve that, and that's how you can create your different styles of backsplashes. Now for the back wall, let's take a wall elevation and actually dimension that. Back in the floor plan view, I'm going to choose the wall elevation camera, and I'm just going to drag a elevation camera through that wall. Zoom out here a little bit. Now one of the things that I like to do is I like to make sure my dimensions are in inches when you're dimensioning. If you've ever, let me just show you to illustrate a point. A lot of times if you open up a plan and you're using Chief Architect Premiere and you're using the 1/4 inch scale annotations, those annotations are actually using the dimension set of 1/4 inch dimensions. And if you take a look at that, let's go ahead and edit it. Primary format are in feet and inches, and it's going to locate certain things, your extensions, your arrow style, and it controls all of those things. If you take a look at the NKBA dimensions, which I would recommend you use, and we take a look at these dimension defaults, this is going to have the primary setup for inches only, what it's going to locate, so it's only going to locate certain things on your cabinet and set it up that way. So just to illustrate the point, if I'm using the 1/4 inch dimensions and you'd use your automatic dimension tool, it's not going to look very attractive because it's using feet and inches. So let's change that back to the NKBA and use the automatic dimension tool. That's really all you need to know because it's going to give you a much cleaner dimension that you expect. Now there is some cleanup that needs to be done. You'll notice on the right hand side we're missing some dimensions. I actually have an invisible wall. If you go back to your camera view, there's an invisible wall, so it's a wall that doesn't really exist in here. It's just to give you room definition for room sizing. So there is some cleanup that we need to do, but that's pretty easy. Select the dimensions. You'll get an extra diamond on here. You can simply pull that over and get your dimension. You can modify these dimensions and pull them around. This centerline dimension is on the refrigerator. It's not needed because it's already included on the bottom. Let's go ahead and we'll pull off a couple more dimensions in here. And you just need to grab these diamonds and adjust them accordingly. Same thing with this dimension here. And so just a little bit of busy work to create these accurate dimensions. And let's go ahead and use an end-to-end dimension since we need that on the top and bottom. So we'll just come in here, drag an end-to-end dimension, and we'll pull that down. Do the same thing on the top if you want one. Now the dimensions on one side include the toe kick, the countertop, and the backsplash, the windows. I usually clean one of these sides up, and what I'll do is I'll just kind of come in here and pull the dimensions off. I'll probably do it on this side because it's further away and I don't really need to worry about the toe kick and the countertop, so I'm just pulling these dimensions off. You don't have to pull them very far to clean them up. I'll pull it off the window at the bottom, pull it off the window on the top, and same thing for the crown molding. I don't necessarily need to know what those dimensions are. So it looks a lot cleaner in this case on that side, and however your preference is, you can, if you want to dimension the countertop on these sides, sometimes those dimensions you can just hold your control key down and position them as you like to have them cleaned up. But using the NKBA automatic dimension tool is a quick way to get those, and also making sure your annotation set, or if you're using the interior version, make sure your default dimension is selected for NKBA, and that's going to give you a very clean looking dimension. So I'm just going to work my way around. You can maybe just watch what I'm doing. I'm going to pull it off the windows here. Just grab those diamonds, pull off the dimensions. Notice that it picked up our pie cabinet, and I'll just pull that off because I want that to be 36 inches. Pull off this extra diamond up here. And once you're finished, you can kind of make sure that it all looks good. Sometimes I like to grab my center lines and pull these up into the actual fixture. You can use your crosshairs to align those in a similar fashion. And that's the process you use to create your dimensions for a wall elevation. And I'm just going to delete this extra center line here. And again, we'll just use the end-to-end dimension, come through here and create our end-to-end. And then we'll just pull that up and maybe pull those extension lines down a little bit. All right, we're finished with the wall elevation. So I'm just going to come in, save the active camera, go ahead and close it. Back into the plan view. If you want to name that, you can simply select the camera, open it up, and we'll give it a name. And I'm just going to call it Sync Elevation. And the plan display, I'm just going to give it the letter A. Now back into the 3D view, let's take a look at the process of how cabinets work in Chief Architect. I've used just a generic cabinet, and if you open up one of these cabinets and you kind of look at the box construction, you can choose your box construction of either framed or frameless. And then you can control your traditional overlay, full overlay, inset for your doors, and other options. All cabinets in Chief Architect work the same, whether it's a non-branded or a branded cabinet. So this is a non-branded cabinet, and the way you make these branded cabinets, let's open up the library and take a look at how you'd make this a manufacturer branded cabinet. Inside the library are manufacturer catalogs. The way you get these is you go to the chiefarchitect.com website. You can download the different manufacturers that you want, and then these will come into your library. Let's grab one of our cabinet manufacturers, Aristocraft here. It's the top one. And the first thing you can do is you can change your door styles. So in their door styles, this will give you a preview of how those door styles work. You can grab a door style, simply come over here, click and place the door style on here, click and place your door style on here. And until you get the door styles that you want on your cabinets, let's just go ahead and place that door style in the cabinets. Maybe we'll set that. Well, I'll show you how to set a default. We'll take that drawer style, apply it to the cabinet, and then the other thing that are in the manufacturer cabinets are the colors and wood species. So you can choose your wood species and you can choose your colors. So let's go ahead, and I've already got the color set. Let's take a look at the different colors that they have in their finishes. And here are the color options for their finishes. Now I'm not sure if this is a paint or a stain. In Chief Architect, the way this works is, notice that my icon on this cabinet is a spray can. If I spray this on the component level, it is a solid color. If you want to change that and make it a stain, you can select the paint roller, blend colors with materials, and then that will actually blend it. Difficult to see. Let's zoom in here a little bit. You can actually see through that wood grain, and it works as a stain. So you can kind of come through here and choose the different components you want. Once you've got the color that you like, then you can apply that to all of your cabinets. And let's go ahead and do that to this cabinet here. I'm going to change it to the object mode, and then once I've got that set, let's make that our default cabinet, and that will change the different boxes, and then we'll just change that door style and make it the same as well. And I believe that cabinet was on this door style over here, so we'll just make that our default cabinet, and that should change all of the cabinets in the plan. And all I need to do is actually match the crown molding on top of here, and we'll do that over here as well. Now for the base cabinets, let's go in and let's see if we can get a different color here, maybe a little bit darker color. We'll go ahead and apply that on this cabinet, and then we can set that as our default cabinet as well. That is the process of making your cabinet manufacturer. Now, if you want to have a more custom look, let's go up and grab one of our paint companies. That's a pretty dark color that we have on our cabinets. Let's go in and find some of their colors into whites, and we'll just grab one of these whites. And I'm going to change my material painter for room, and then when I click on that particular cabinet, it will change it for all the cabinets in the room. There are surfaces, so if you want to find your surfaces and apply that in your design as well. Again, I have it for the entire room. You may want a different color for your backsplash, so let's find a backsplash color here. Let me shrink this up and let's go down. I've got a few backsplashes saved in my user catalog, and we'll find our materials here. And then you can just simply click and apply the different materials for your components. In this case, let's go ahead and select beach glass. I'm going to change it just for the component, apply it to this backsplash, apply it to that backsplash, and now you have a different backsplash material. So we can go in and get the changes that you're after and help visualize it. You can also find a tool called the Adjust Materials Definition. If you want to click on a material, you can change the color of it, you can change the direction of it. Let's go in and change the texture of this so that it is at 90 degrees, and update it. I usually change the properties to take a look at the way it's going to look. There's a shortcut here that I use to see what it's going to look like in a ray trace version and how it's applied. So if we change it to ray trace, you can see how that material looks in a polished method just by simply changing that. And there are a bunch of different settings you can do if you're going to ray trace it. Let's just go ahead and change the material to a 90 degrees, and then it's going to make a copy of that, and that's how you can make changes to the direction of your wood. When you want to build a custom island, you can use the same tools with the cabinet tools that we've been using here. You can then save those into your library. Let's go back into our floor plan here. I'm going to open up my library and I'm going to grab in one of the islands that I've used previously. Grab that island, come over here, click and place the island, turn on my temporary dimensions so I can place it. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just pull my control key down and somewhat place it. I have my grid turned off for the video since it doesn't cause extra distortion in there. And then you can use your dimension tool for the island. Sometimes I'll unblock it. Let me unblock this, and then I'm going to use my end-to-end dimension. Let's come in here and create a dimension in here, both directions, maybe off the cook range element. Once I have those dimension lines placed, I'm just going to draw a marquee around the entire island and then highlight the dimension. In this case, let's set it to be 42 inches. And we'll also set this one to be 42 inches as well. Back into the 3D view, you can see the new island, and we can use the material eyedropper, pick up the color off of the dark brown, change the material to the room mode, and apply that to our upper cabinets. And that's the process for creating a kitchen, dimensioning the wall elevation, and creating a custom backsplash. In the final video segment that will follow this one, we're going to create our layout and our construction drawings in the design for the Dutch gable project.